Hey everyone, welcome to Church Online. My name is Hannah and I'm one of the pastors here, and we are so excited that you've joined us this morning. If you're new or want to get connected, you can text the word connect to the number on the screen and we'll reach out to you and answer any questions that you have. Right now, I am standing in Long's Peak Hospital parking lot, and in just a few hours, we are going to fill this place with horns honking and lights flashing as we encourage medical staff who are changing their shifts. So tonight, between 6:45 and 7:45, we invite you to show up in your car, and you can make signs, and this is just a way that we can encourage those who are on the front lines. So we'll see you tonight here. For a lot of us, this is a time where we're finding new rhythms and finding a new schedule. And so we invite you to sign up for Rooted. We have hosted an online Rooted edition, and this is where you can ask questions about faith, where you can get connected with other people, and you can have a Bible reading plan. This is a great place to fill some of your time right now. All you need to do is text the word Rooted to the number on the screen, and you can sign up, or someone will follow up with you and answer any questions that you might have about it. If you want to be a part of the mission that we have and that God is doing through us, we would love for you to give today. You can give online at lbcc.org/give. That's it for today. Let's get started in worship.
Count on one thing. The same God that never fails will not fail me now. You won't fail me now in the waiting. The same God who's never late is working all things out. You're working all things out. Yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy all my days. Yes, I will. I count on one thing. The same God that never fails will not fail me now. You won't fail me now in the waiting. The same God who's never late is working all things out. You're working all things out. Come on. Yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. pray together. God, thank you for the gift of worship, the gift of refocusing our eyes on you and perspective. And we know that sometimes praising you is a choice. It might be something we feel like doing because we're feeling fearful or anxious. But something powerful happens when we choose to praise you. You've promised in your word, God, that when we draw close to you, even if it's with a tiny morsel of faith, you will draw close to us. And so we invite you to draw close to us today. Wherever we're gathered, we are your church. We are your children, and you love us. Worship you for that love. Oh, I heard 1,000 stories of why they think you're alive, and I heard a tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. Oh, I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, but I know we're all searching for answers. Only you provide, 'cause you know just what we need before we say a word. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. Soak up his love and worship today. A God who loves us. It's a Father who desperately loves his children and wants us to know that we are never alone. We are never truly isolated. He's with us. He's given us a love so undeniable I can hardly speak. Peace so unexplainable I can hardly think as you call me, deeper still as you call me, deeper still as you call me, deeper still into love. Love, you're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. about you, but right now I'm learning a lot about me and the people around me, because circumstances reveal us, don't they? Especially when you start getting cabin fever. And what I'm trying to focus on is learning more about God and how to depend on Him and rely on Him more. There's an interesting line in that song we just sang. It's about Him calling us to a deeper relationship with Him, calling us deeper still. What does that mean? Deeper in our desperate dependence on Him. Because when we go through challenging times, but we still worship, and we still give, and we still invest in the kingdom, and we keep our eyes on Him, we know the blessing of His sufficiency, that He's enough. He's always enough. I love the Message translation of Jesus' words in Matthew 5:3. He says, we're blessed when we're at the end of our rope. With less of you, there's more of God. He's faithful, and that's a fact. The cross is the proof. That's why Jesus invited us to remember regularly what He did for us there, His death, resurrection. And so we invite you, maybe the end of our virtual gathering today, we'll give you time for it, or sometime today, if you're comfortable, to break bread and remember His broken body for you. To pour some juice and drink it and remember that He poured out His blood for you. To just take some time to remember that He loves us and He is a good, good Father. You're perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am.
So in 2014, my wife and I, we built a house. Now we bought a small house about a year after we were married, but fast forward 8 years later and throw 3 small kids in the mix, and we were just out of space. So we decided to build. And when I say build, I mean we paid somebody else to build a house for us, because you don't want me building your house. If it's demo day, I'm your guy. I can swing a sledgehammer with the best of them. But when it comes to the skill of actually building a house, that's a gift that I don't have. I mean, I struggle with IKEA furniture, if that gives you some perspective. There's always pieces left over. So if we actually wanted a house that would last the first Midwestern thunderstorm that it saw, if we wanted a house that was safe for my wife and kids to live in, if we wanted a house that could actually be used as a tool for hospitality, which was something that we wanted, then somebody else was gonna have to build that house instead of me. So the contractor we used was actually a friend of mine, and he let me be involved to some extent. The house was about 2 minutes away from where I worked, so I was literally there on a daily basis, just checking on things, hearing from him, helping in any way that my wannabe skills could, and I loved it. I mean, over those 4 or 5 months that our house was being built, I loved that process. Getting to contribute in any way that I could, learning from our contractor about construction. I mean, watching the house take shape daily. I loved it. And the thing I loved the most was that I got to be a part of something that was being built, but I didn't have to have the stress on me as whether or not it was going to be a success or not. It wasn't all on me. I mean, if it would have been up to me, that I was the one responsible for building that house, and I just said, you know what, thank you, but no thank you to the contractor. I got this on my own. I don't need your help. Well, then I think the over-under would have been about 3 hours before we saw some serious problems with that house. And the whole thought of it actually getting finished, well, that was a shot in the dark. Man, I'm guessing that you have felt that pressure before. You felt the stress before that you've got to be the one that builds something, and without you, who's going to do it? Maybe it's not building a literal house. Well, what about building a business? This business isn't going to build itself. Or maybe it's a sports team or a school project, or maybe you're thinking, forget a school project. I got to build a school now that I've been thrust into this homeschooling thing thanks to COVID-19. Or maybe it's building a financial portfolio or building your family. I got to build up my marriage so that it's strong. I got to build up my kids so that they can be a success in an ever increasingly competitive market whenever it is that they're out on their own. You have felt that pressure before, that you've got to be the one that builds something. You've got to be the one that protects it. And I'm guessing that it's been more than one thing. It's been more than one thing for me, where you feel that pressure to build, maybe even have a desire to build. And then you start thinking, man, how am I going to pull this off? There's so much that has to get done. There's so many things that could go wrong. How am I going to pull this off? So you start working even harder. That's how I'm wired. Let me just put my head down and go. Let's get it done. Let's get it built. I'm strong enough to do this. Let's go. And maybe that's the wrong approach. Not hard work and effort. Those are great things. But the approach of, I'm going to take this all on me. I'm going to be the one that builds it. I'm going to be the one that works on it. Maybe that's the wrong approach. Psalm 127 actually talks about this approach. And if you're new and connecting with us for the first time at Lifebridge, or maybe you've been gone for a little while, we're in the middle of a series right now called Playlist, where we're just listening to one of Israel's best playlists. 3 times a year, the people of Israel would travel to Jerusalem to celebrate the 3 major festivals. And when they did that, they would exclusively not only listen to, but they would also sing one particular playlist. The name of that playlist is called the Songs of Ascents. It's Psalm 120 to 134 in your Bible. And all of these songs, they talk about God and they talk about real life stuff. Psalm 127 actually talks about our approach to work, and not just vocational work. It's all work for all of us. It doesn't matter who you are, what your story is, how old you are. It's not just vocational, it's non-vocational. It's in the home, it's out of the home, it's in school, it's out of school. It's anything in our lives that we work on. And it also talks about the purpose of it. So listen to the first part of Psalm 127. It says this: unless the Lord builds a house, the work of the builders is wasted. Unless the Lord protects a city, guarding it with sentries will do no good. It's useless for you to work so hard from early in the morning until late at night, anxiously working for food to eat, for God gives rest to his loved ones. So hard work isn't useless. That's not what it's saying. It's saying our approach to it is useless. And the approach of, I'm going to take this all on myself. I'm going to build, I'm going to work on this by myself, whatever it is, whether it's my career or my family or my finances or my relationships. If I'm just going to build everything on my own in my life, using my own skills, my own talent, my own experience, those things are great. But if you're just trying to build it all on your own and not let God build it and come alongside him, then it's useless. That's what it's saying. It's like me trying to build a house without a contractor. I know how that's going to turn out, and it's not going to be good. And you would agree with me on that. Yeah, Matt, of course. It's a bad idea for you to try to build a house without a contractor. Like, we would all agree on that. Okay, so then let me ask you a question. How is that any different than you trying to build whatever it is that you're working on in your life? How is that any different than you doing that without God? Like building your business on your own, building your family, building up your finances, building relationships. How is that any different? You doing that on your own. How is that any different than me trying to build a house without a contractor? Well, Matt, I went to school for this, or I'm licensed in this, or I've got a lot of experience and a lot of talent in this. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Those things are great. But maybe those things are just tools for building. They're not the building permit itself. Here's my take on why I think we would do anything in our lives, any kind of work, build anything. Here's my take on why we would do that without God. I think it's one of 2 reasons. It's bad motivation and our purpose is off. Like our motivation, if I'm trying to build a house without a contractor, I'm doing that for 1 or 2 reasons, maybe both. It's either 1, out of pride, or 2, it's lack of trust. I've got too much pride that I'm going to bring somebody else in to help me. I don't need any help from an outside source. I can do this on my own. I can build this. I got this. My pride drives me to do that. Or I don't have any trust. I'm not going to bring in a contractor to do a job because he might not do a good enough job. He might miss something. I'm afraid that they're going to make a mistake, so I better jump in and do it myself. Now, my pride or lack of trust is going to lead to the same results. No matter what, I still know that I'm going to have a terrible house in the end. It's going to have some serious problems with it, and that's all because of my pride or lack of trust. So whenever we try to build something in our lives, whatever it is, it covers anything. Whenever we try to build something in our lives without God, it's because we have too much pride or we don't trust Him. And think about how crazy that sounds. The God of the universe, I have too much pride to let Him help? The God of the universe, He literally created the world. He built the universe. And I'm not going to let Him build this one thing in my life because I don't think He'll do a good enough job? How crazy does that sound? But on top of that, not only can He do it, He wants to. He wants to build in your life, and He wants you to come along with Him. Unless the Lord builds the house, the work that the builders do is wasted. Right now, is your pride and lack of trust wasting your work because you're not letting God be involved? I mean, whatever that is, vocationally or non-vocationally, in your home or outside of the home, whatever you're working on in your life, whatever you're trying to build, whatever you're a part of, are you wasting it because you don't want God to be a part of it? Let me ask you a question. If you can trust Jesus with your salvation, don't you think you can trust Him with your business or your finances or your family or your relationships, whatever that is? Jesus said that anyone who builds their life, his or her life, on His words and follows Him, says they're building their house on a rock. So when the storms hit that house, they're not going to knock your house over. But anyone who builds their life on something else, it's like building a house on sand. When the storms hit, it's going to knock your house down. So what are you really building your life on right now? Your entire life. Your career, your family, your finances, your passions, your future. What are you really building your life on? If you're building your life on Jesus, then letting Him be the builder is so much more easy. It's so much more freeing at the same time. Let Him be the one that builds and then come alongside the work that He's doing. That will save you so much stress. It will save you so much heartache, and it won't waste your work. Let God be the one that builds, and you come alongside what He's actually doing. So pride and lack of trust is the wrong motivation. But what if our purpose, the purpose we think work serves, what if that's wrong too? In part of because of the culture that we live in, and then also in part of because who we are by nature. It's very easy for us to think that work is about accomplishments and achievements. It's about status and stuff. It's about money. I mean, no matter what you're working on or in your life, it's very easy for you and I to be tempted to follow the purpose of work to one of those categories. We're going to try to get one of those things or maybe multiple things. You know, can I build this business? Can I build this business up to this income level? Or can I earn this scholarship so I have the name of this particular school next to my picture? Or can I lead this organization to this level so that people will view me as a successful leader? Or can I do these things in the home with my kids so that people will think that I'm a great parent? I mean, no matter what it is, no matter what we're trying to get at, those things are great. Scholarships, money, success, all of those things are great and they can be used for great things. But it doesn't make any difference how much money you make, what your job title is, what you do or what you accomplished, how much the world or people applaud you. None of that makes any difference if it doesn't make any difference to God. The curse of many people's lives is not work. It's pointless work. If the point of your work is to get to a certain level of income or status or success, if that's the point of your work, then your work is actually pointless. It's not the type of work that you do that determines if it's purposeful or pointless. It's your approach to it. Because any kind of work can have purpose to it. Inside the home, outside the home, in school, outside of the school, any kind of work can have purpose. Whether you're a sales manager or a teacher or a doctor or a landscape worker or a parent or a CEO or a first responder, all of that can have purpose, or all of that could be pointless too. It all depends on your approach. The purpose of our work is people. That's the purpose. So that's what our approach should be. Our approach to work should be, can I make the lives of people better? When Jesus came, he invested in people. When Jesus came, He had compassion on people. When Jesus came, He sought out people. When Jesus came, He served people. The work that Jesus did glorified God and it blessed people. Our purpose and work is to invest our time, energy in people. And when we do that, we glorify God and we find the real purpose in our work. So the way we measure the success of what we're doing in life is not by our status or income level or whatever else you want to attach to it. The way we measure the success of the work in our lives is how many relationships we've started, strengthened, and developed. That's how we measure the success. We measure success in what we do by how many lives are better off because what we're working on. That's a different approach. That's a much different approach. And Psalm 127 talks about that approach. It talks about the purpose of our work, but it also talks about the prize. Listen to this. This is verse 3 in Psalm 127. The children are a gift from the Lord. They're a reward from Him. Children born to a man young are like arrows in a warrior's hand. How joyful is the man whose quiver is full of them. So joyful with a lot of kids. Now, some of us may disagree with that right now after being quarantined for over a month. What do you mean joyful with a lot of kids? Can I just get the kids out of my house, right? Some of us would disagree with that. But I want to tell you, you might want to get used to it for a second. And I'm just going to say this now. With all of this time stuck at home, I think there's going to be a small baby boom come December or January. I'm just calling it now. You can mark my words. This song started off talking about work, and then it makes this hard shift to kids. Well, the reason why is because kids are a great example of the purpose of our work and the prize that comes with it. Man, if you start, strengthen, and develop relationships, if that's the purpose of what we're doing, well, then the reward is started, strengthened, and developed relationships also. It's very easy for us to think that the real reward for our work are things that we get to put under our roof, but actually the real reward are the people that are under our roof. Your spouse is your reward if your work is about people. Your kids are your reward if your work is about people. Relationships are the real reward. And the reason why this psalm is talking about kids right here is because kids are a great example of that, but they often get overlooked. Am I working so that I can be a better dad to my 3 kids? And that doesn't mean I have more money to buy them more stuff or get them on more sports teams or sign them up for more activities. That's not what being a better dad means. Am I working so that I can strengthen each relationship with my kids? Am I working so that I can disciple and point each of my kids to Jesus? Because ultimately that's my role as a father. And if you're a parent, if you're a mom or dad, that's your role too. If you're a parent, you're a pastor. Am I working so that I can invest in and develop my kids, not so that they turn out the way that I want them to be, which, by the way, is really convicting for me, but instead they grow into the men and women that God wants them to be? That's where the real joy is. So if you're a parent, this applies to your kids. If you're married, this applies to your spouse. If you're a student, this applies to your classmates. If you're a friend, this applies to your friendships. If you're a boss, this applies to your employees. The purpose of your work is people. Can people's lives be better? Can people experience compassion? Can people have justice? Can people be developed? Can people thrive? Can people ultimately meet, know, and take their next step with Jesus? That's the purpose of whatever you do. That's the purpose of your work. That's the purpose of whatever you're building. Right now, in the middle of this time of being quarantined, I think we have an excellent opportunity to really refocus and see what really matters. All of the extras in our life right now have been shut down completely. And we have more space on our calendar than we ever have. So don't waste this time. And don't wish it away either. Now, if you're an introvert, this might be your dream. Of course I'm not wishing this time away. I don't have to leave my house. This is amazing, right? Maybe that's you. Or maybe you're like me and just can't wait to get to the new normal and get around people again. And I've caught myself in the last couple of weeks. I've caught myself saying, you know what? I just can't wait for this to be over. I just wish this was done. I can't wait to get through this. Can I just get through this? I've caught myself saying that and thinking that more than once, and maybe you have too. And that's been a mistake. So I would just say this to you. Don't wish this time away right now. Don't just try to get through it. And I know that sounds crazy, but here's why I say that. If you wish this time away that we're in right now, this incredibly weird and unusual time that none of us have ever experienced. If you wish this time away right now, you miss an incredible opportunity to grow. Mountaintops have great views. Mountaintops are incredibly inspiring. In Colorado, we know that. But nothing grows on top of mountains. There's nothing that grows up on those peaks. The growth happens in the valleys. Right now, every single one of us is in a valley. This is a huge opportunity for you to grow as an individual. Don't wish this away. It's a huge opportunity for you to reprioritize. It's a huge opportunity to refocus, invest in the relationships that matter the most, particularly those people that are under your roof. Now, this applies to all of us. Even if you're not married, if you don't have kids, if there's nobody in the house with you, man, this still applies to your friendships, and it applies to your extended family members. It applies to all your relationships. Let's focus our relationships. Let's focus our energy in investing in the relationships that matter the most right now. We've got time to do that. Don't waste it away. In this unusual time, most of us are working from home right now. Well, let's remember that working on home is far more important than working from home. Invest in the people that are under your roof right now, because they're the ones that matter. People that you know. Even work hard right now in a season to bless people that you may never even meet. No matter what you're doing, no matter what you're building, your job is to work so that other people's lives are better and that they get to meet Jesus. So that's anything. If you're a sales manager right now, be the best sales manager that you can be for the aim of helping your clients and customers. Not just helping them and filling your quota, but helping them so that they do a better job, so that they look like rock stars. Because when you put them first and help them do better at whatever they're doing, that's a reflection of Jesus. Be the best student that you can be right now. Work hard in school right now, and that will reflect Jesus, and it will give you more opportunities in the future to have greater impact and help more people. If you're a parent and you're homeschooling, be the best homeschooling parent that you can be right now. I know it's crazy. I know that it can be frustrating at times. Don't compare yourself to what other people are doing. Stop watching Facebook and what other moms and dads are doing and comparing yourself to them. No, the kids that you have in your house, God gave them to you for you to disciple them. Not only educate them, but point them to Jesus. Be the best boss that you can be right now. It's for your employees to thrive and for them to be developed. Not so that you look good and you get all the perks, but do it for them. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're building, whatever your work is, do it so that other people's lives are better, not your own. Do it so that other people get to meet Jesus. Do it so other people see Jesus in your work. That's the opportunity that you have right now. If the Lord builds the house, then what you do matters. Is God building and you're coming alongside Him? Or are you trying to do all this by yourself? If the Lord builds the house, what you do matters. That's Psalm 127. So I want to give you a minute just to reflect on all of that. I want to give you some space right now to take communion, and you can do that in your homes. Actually, there's a family in our church that has been delivering communion to people around their neighborhood and doing communion in their cul-de-sac from a safe distance. But communion is a time that we get to reflect on the cross, that Jesus went and died and paid for us. The work that He did was so that we could have salvation. And then He walked out of a tomb 3 days later. So take some time to reflect on that. If you got some crackers or bread and some juice, you can do that as a family. You can do that by yourself. Take some time to do that. And then also, if you come prepared to worship by giving, you can do that on our website or through the PushPay app. And then after that, there's going to be a time for just some reflection questions. As we've done every single week, there's been questions on the screen after we're done. And take some time to discuss those with your family or your roommate or your friends or your group. Take some time just to chew on it yourself. But just remember that your purpose and work, whatever your work is, in the home, outside of the home, vocationally, non-vocationally, is for people. And that's exactly what Jesus did for you. Have a great weekend, guys. I love you, and I'll see you next weekend.